All right, so this is going to be a quick walkthrough showing how to get godot-valet downloaded from itch.io, set up, configured, and then get a, let's select one here, get a release configuration set up so that you can export and publish with just a couple of clicks every time you make a change, saving you, minutes, I would say. And just a little bit of sanity knowing that every time you hit export and publish, it's going to be the exact same and consistent and just done and easy. So anyway, the goal here is to show you how easy it is to get set up. And while it looks really busy, it actually only takes like 20 seconds to get all of this set up. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to get one of my projects set up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this, and we're going to close this. And then I need to delete my local save settings. I have a backup. That way when we download it, we're not going to see my projects. We'll see a clean new instance. So, okay. What we're going to do is I have this prototype tool called Synaptic, and I've uploaded it a couple of times. It's a prototype. It's still in draft form, but we're going to make some changes, get it all configured in godot-valet and get it uploaded. All right. So here we go. So first things first, you can go up to itch.io, download godot-valet. This video does a high-level overview kind of just of the features. We're going to go a little bit more in depth and talk about how to get things configured. You can download, go grab the source and just compile it and run it on your own if you want to do it that way. And then otherwise, you can just hit download here. No thanks, don't want to pay myself. And I'm going to grab the Windows version. I haven't done any testing in Linux, so if you do that, let me know one way or the other if it's working out for you. It'd be much appreciated for all Linux users. And we'll hit download. It's going to download it into any old folder. Oh, and before we get too far, there are two important things that you need to know in advance of using godot-valet for the most part. One is you need to have a itch.io dev account. That should all be set up and configured, and ideally you should already have a project uploaded using Butler. So that's the second thing. You should already know how to use Butler, which is once you get installed and configured, it's just basically one single command line to get your projects uploaded, because godot-valet uses Butler to do the uploads because it saves a ton of bandwidth and time and everything getting those uploads. So yeah, so make sure you have those two things. I would probably pause right here and go figure those things out. Once you get those things figured out, godot-valet is going to make a lot more sense to you. Okay, so we have godot-valet. It's in the zip here. We got to take it out, throw it in the folder. I'll just delete the zip because we don't need that. And then I'm going to drag and drop this onto taskbar, and then we can launch it. Close this. And yes, thank you, Windows, for protecting me from myself. We're going to run anyway. You won't have that problem if you grab the source. And okay, so this is godot-valet. It's an empty project right now. So first thing we want to do is actually go into settings, and we can change the background color to whatever suits our preferences. And then we need to set up the versions, because our projects are going to reference these for launching, because we need to know, is it Godot 4 or is it a Godot 3 project? Let's see, so I'm going to select a path to Godot 3, select it, and we have auto-generate names, so it grabs the name out of the file. So if you have some weird file naming, just pay attention to that. You can put in whatever version you want here. You can change this to 3 if you want to do that. If we end up like 3.6, 3.7, you're going to want to be able to specify those minor versions. Okay, and let's grab the Godot 4 because I want to show kind of the differences between having both and being able to launch your project with both. Did I not get there? There we go. Okay, we'll save. And so we have those both set up, so that's good. And you can have as many versions, so when 5 comes out, we'll be able to add it real easy. And then one thing I wanted to quickly point out here is we can see that we've dynamically added both of those versions here now. So anytime I want, I can use godot-valet as my primary project manager. But if I ever need to go into one of the Godot project managers, I can do that. So this is the 3.5 project manager. I got a bunch of 3.5 projects in here. And if I need to, I can go into the 4.0 project manager and I have those projects. So it's a nice, very convenient way to kind of jump into those without having to have all of those on my taskbar. All right, so the next thing, now that we have the version set up, is to go into new project, and we're gonna find our project. I have a path here. And so I added a new feature today, actually, is create new. So if this is a new project, I can actually create new, and it's gonna create the project file for me, and add the icon.svg and all that little silly stuff. So I can create a new project and go from there, or what we're going to do is I'm going to select an existing project, which is probably something you'll do, and we'll select the project file, and that auto-populates the project name based on whatever's in the project settings here, and then it provides the default value, so we need to select this. It doesn't auto-populate this version yet. I try to figure that out, but so for now you got to manually pick it, and this is a v4 project, so we'll save that, and that adds a project line item here for us, a project card, and we can have as many of these as we want. It could be v4, v3, it doesn't matter. When you select it and you hit run, we're going to launch into the correct version of Godot for you. So this is v4, this is Synaptic, it's a prototype for mind mapping. So I'm working on that, and so that's kind of what we're going to upload this project here. I'd save that, and then we can edit it, so that's going to launch into the editor for Synaptic, so that's nice. There we go, and we'll leave this open because we're going to make a change, a spoof change, just to show that we're uploading, and we can see that we've defaulted to v1, so we'll update this here, and we'll go into release, and here's where all the magic happens. So we've got our values from the project card that we've pulled in. We're going to choose to release on Windows and Linux, and we're going to do web just because I can show off sort of how that gets packaged up and zipped. Our export path, for this one, I always put my exports inside the project folder, and then I just make sure Git ignores everything that's in this folder. I find that works pretty well. And we are going to be uploading v5. So itch.io sort of just increments the version. Every time you upload it, just increments this. I think you can change it through itch.io, but there's no way to do it from like godot-valet. So we can choose to ignore this version and just maintain our own local version if I want to do that, or I can just sync up with whatever itch.io has. And so, for example, I can do v5, and then we're going to see v5 show up in the file names that we generate, and in the zip file names, and in the folder. There's also, we have a folder in exports that's versioned. So up to you. You can use any sort of versioning system you want. It just ends up being in the paths and the file names. These are incomplete because we haven't filled out the form yet. So basically all of these fields are required. Moving on to the next export type, we are choosing release, but you can choose debug and package type. And notice that we're defaulting to release instead of debug, which is nice. And then we can zip or no zip, and we are going to zip because we're going to upload this right to itch.io, and those need to be zipped. And so our export file name is going to be the name of the project. Case doesn't matter here. This is just for the file names. If you want all lowercase, you can do that, which I usually do, like that. So now we have the project name, the version, and the target. And that's that. And then the itch project name happens to be the same right up here. Make sure I'm spelling it right. Yep. And then the itch profile name is my profile name, blah, blah, blah. And then for generate checksum, this is if you're planning on, publishing this somewhere other than itch.io, like your own file share server or something, and you want to give people a checksum to validate, or you want to validate it as part of an installer. When we generate the export packages and create the zip files, we do a checksum on those and provide it, and I'll show you where that shows up at here in a second. Most of you probably won't need this. You can leave it enabled. It doesn't take any time or anything. Okay, so we're good to go. So we can just hit export, and what's gonna happen is godot-valet is going to basically take the keys from us, and it's gonna package up the windows. It's going to export and package up the windows, then the Linux, and also the web. And we'll take a look at those files, but basically it's creating 3 different zips. And for the web version, it's actually going to rename the HTML file it's using named after the project. It's going to rename it to index.html, and it's going to then zip everything for you, which is really nice because otherwise we're doing this manually for ourselves. So here we can see it's the html5.zip, and inside of it we've got our renamed HTML file, and everything's packaged up nice and neat. Same thing with zip, or same thing with Linux, it's zipped up as well, good to go, and everything's nicely versioned. And so now that we've exported it and just did a sanity check, and usually you're not going to need to sanity check it more than the first time you set it up, just to make sure, okay, is everything getting packaged the way I expect? And you're definitely going to want to run this locally, make sure that all of your files, especially if you have special file paths or anything like that that are being referenced that you need to include, you're just going to want to make sure that everything's getting packaged correctly. But it should, because it's using the same export process that Godot does, so it should be good to go. If it's in your export template, you're good. So the next step is to publish, and so we can do, this is what I wanted to show. I knew there was something I was stumbling on. We have output here. So the export process produced a tab called Windows Desktop. Inside of it, it has all of our export information, some warnings. Godot 4 has lots of fun new warnings and errors that sometimes crop up depending on the project. Some of them you have to pay attention to and fix, and other things we're going to ignore until someone fixes it on the Godot side. So in this case, we have 0 errors, 6 warnings. These warnings are fine. We go to Linux, we can do the same thing and double check. Nope, same exact issues. And here's our checksum, by the way, at the very bottom of both of these tabs. We're performing the checksum on the zip file itself, and if you need it, here it is. And then here's our web, same thing. Okay, so so that's all done. Everything looks good. So all we have to do is hit publish, and we can see that we're executing Butler. It goes really fast. We can see this looks good. If you have any problems with Butler, you're going to get error output here, but as soon as you see that we've got 99% or whatever, that means things are looking good. Linux looking good, HTML looking good. If we go up here, look at Synaptic, hit refresh, there we go, version 5 uploaded. So let's just show from now on for you or whoever this project, if I make a change in code, where's my project? There it is. Let's go into code. Let's make a comment. Let's actually remove a comment from a previous attempt that I made at this. So I just saved that, or removed a comment. So it's a 1-line change. So if you think like game jam, oh no, I forgot my debug switch or whatever, I need to remove it and republish. I only got 2 minutes. Well, no problem. So I just saved it. So I got to update my version locally. This has no association again with the itch.io. So this is for your local reference only. So even if you forget to change this, it's really no impact. It will overwrite though your previous files. So if I left this, and I'll do it anyways, we're going to overwrite the v5 files, no problem. We're just going to quietly do it. Could be a problem for you. I'm going to look at trying how to improve that. So maybe a warning, hey, are you sure you want to overwrite your existing files? So we'll probably add that. But for counting the seconds, we're on about 10, 15 seconds so far. Going on about 20, and now we hit publish, and about 5 seconds later, total of 25 seconds, we have published a new version up here, which we're not, this should actually go to 6. That's the expectation. Come on, you can do it. Yep, there we go. So 1 code change, 25 seconds later, 3 different target packages uploaded, ready to go. That is Godot Valet in a nutshell. I do plan to continue to work on it, update it, and add to it. Others can do the same because it is open source. You can do it for yourself. You do it for everybody. Chat with me if you want to do anything major and have that pulled back into the main branch, just so that we're on the same page. Maybe I'm doing some of that work so we don't have to duplicate efforts and things like that. But I am looking for feedback, in feature requests, like what else do we need? I've got a bunch of ideas, but kind of want to hear from you so I know what's important sooner rather than later. And I think that's everything I wanted to cover, showing kind of how easy it is, and save the changes. So next time I come in here, I've made a bunch of code changes. I just go in here, hit these 2 buttons, good to go. And I can do that for all my projects. So that's it. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.